contagious disease that could be cured? Some think so. The grass won't be greener here for the next few days with water conservation in effect. And radio superstar Larry Mantle joins us live in studio. All that and weather on CCN Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood, seconds away.
Do you have a great business idea? The Pasadena Enterprise Zone can help. The Pasadena Enterprise Zone, open for business.
Hi, I'm Jesse Avila at the Convalescent Aid Society, a nonprofit organization established in 1923. We provide the free loan of durable medical equipment, of hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, canes, and many other items. Your donations and contributions are welcome and greatly appreciated. We are located at 3255 East Foothill Boulevard in Pasadena.
We're here to help you!
Please give us a call and check for availability at 626-793-1696.
Hi everyone, thank you for watching CCN Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood. I'm Sunita Joshua Madison. We begin tonight with part one of a CCN in-depth series about crime in Pasadena with one man asking, is violence a contagious disease? If it is, it spread to an innocent victim recently. Victor McClinton's death might push local leaders to look for a cure. CCN's Paulo Alejandro has a story on a new idea that might help stop crime.
It was here, on this block of Newport Avenue, where a stray bullet from a gang-related drive-by shooting killed youth volunteer and community advocate Victor McClinton as he walked to a friend's car this past Christmas morning. As a man beloved by his peers and the kids he mentored, McClinton's death sparked outrage and collective community loss of an innocent victim caught in the crosshairs of one of the latest episodes of violence and tragedy in Pasadena. Coming on the heels of a number of other high-profile killings in the area, some see McClinton's death as a tipping point for change. It has forced local leaders from all over the city to call for a closer focus on the root causes of crime and what some term as epidemic of violence. The idea of violence as an epidemic and public health concern has been brought to the front by Dr. Eric Walsh, Public Health Director for the City of Pasadena. Walsh says the ways people have looked and dealt with violence have perhaps not been the most effective way of ending violence.
If we simply look at violence as a criminal problem or an individual behaviors problem, then we can pour a lot of resources into locking up people for bad behavior, but it really doesn't get to the roots of the problem. So we propose in the public health world to look at violence like we look at many contagious diseases that caused epidemics. If violence is a contagious disease, maybe we can apply the same methodologies to violence and bring down the rates of violence and literally societally cure it like we have done some other diseases.
Here in Pasadena, most would agree the current state of crime has calmed considerably since its peak in the 80s and 90s. Statistics show violent crime has decreased steadily in recent years. Many perceive a disproportionate number of violent crimes taking place in the area of Northwest Pasadena compared to other parts of the city. At the Jackie Robinson Center, we spoke to Horace Wormley, Deputy Director of Human Services and Recreation for the City of Pasadena. Wormley says what's taking place in Northwest Pasadena can be seen as a perfect storm of ingredients, such as poverty and high unemployment, necessary to breed violent behavior.
The Northwest community obviously is where there's a large concentration of unemployment. And when you have a high percentage of unemployment that's concentrated in one general area, you have individuals who have not taken advantage of the educational system.
Both Wormley and Dr. Walsh say that although cases of violence are indeed a problem in Northwest Pasadena, they are not exclusive to this part of town. In his idea of violence as an epidemic, Dr. Walsh says the disease of violence can be seen in everyday situations experienced by anyone, even those who are not considered to be particularly violent.
Somebody who cuts you off on the freeway and then, you drive past them and you flip them off or you do whatever, does that one act committed by that person already kind of reveal some sort of aptitude for violence?
Well, remember, violence isn't just physical. Violence is a spiritual thing. It's a way to try and tear down someone else. The ultimate form of that is to really bodily harm them or kill them. but it begins with harmful words. When in that incident of road rage, you flip that person off, what you're being is violent. You're trying to hurt the other person. That's why you're doing it. And even if they hurt you first, and of course then it escalates because that person's hurt, they want to do what? Retaliate.
And it
you
goes
get
back
these.
to your point about it being contagious.
Exactly.
While at the Jackie Robinson Center, we met 16-year-old Jay, who told us he was there doing community service as part of his punishment after being caught stealing while out with some friends. Jay grew up in the Meadows neighborhood near Northwest Pasadena and says he's seen many of his friends end up in juvenile hall or in jail. Jay says he's found violence to be contagious from his own personal experience.
It's just a behavior you learn. Like, if you say you're around a group of kids and one person does something violent, it's contagious. It'll go around. And then a few will look at it and be like, no, I'm not going to do that, and just, leave. That's basically it.
Jay told us he's trying very hard to be one of the few who leave when violence starts to spread. He says he hopes life will take him down a road away from the crime and violence he's gotten used to being around. Jay says he wants to go to college and be a writer when he gets older. Perhaps with Jay, Dr. Walsh's ideas about violence being an epidemic that can be cured can be realized. In Pasadena, Paulo Alejandria, CCN.
Thanks for that report, Paulo. Over the next few weeks, Paulo will be investigating the causes, cases, and theories about why violence continues to be a problem in the community. He'll be talking to community leaders, experts, and those residents whose daily lives have been affected by the crime on the streets. If you have information or stories you want to share with him, you can reach out to him at paulo@crowncitynews.com, and his name is spelled Paulo. Well, a fire hits an apartment complex in Pasadena, and a water shortage warning for the San Gabriel Valley has neighbors wondering how their gardens will survive. Plus, we have your complete forecast next on CCN, Your News, Your Neighborhood.
This CCN Green Minute is brought to you by Southern California Edison.
Janetta, tell us about some programs that Southern California Edison has to save clients money.
Would gladly do that, Luna. Southern California Edison offers several programs to help our customers save money and then reward them for those energy savings. There's two programs that I'll quickly mention, and they're online management tools. One is called My Account, and it offers our customers budget assistance. So when they identify how much they want to spend a month, it will alert them via email, tweet, text, whatever form of communication they want if they're going over that budget. One other program I like to share, we call it STP. I'm actually on that program myself. It's called Summer Discount Plan. While it is a summer program to help our customers conserve during the 4 months of summer, they can sign up on it all year long and also receive those incentives that will help lower their bills during those summer months.
Those are two great programs of the many, and you can get more information at SCE.com. This has been your Southern California Edison Green Minute.
This CCN Green Minute is brought to you by Southern California Edison.
Welcome back. Here's a look at stories you may have missed this past week right here in the San Gabriel Valley. The Pasadena Fire Department responded to an apartment complex fire on the 700 block of Worcester Avenue last night. Upon arrival, an apartment on the second floor of the complex was ablaze, with the fire already extending to the third level. One adult and 3 children were taken to the Huntington Memorial Hospital and treated for smoke inhalation. The rest of the residents were evacuated without any reported problems. The Red Cross is helping shelter 13 people who were displaced by the fire, and the health department is responding to some children who got sick after the fire was put out. The department believes the cause of the fires is the placement of baby diapers too close to a wall heater, but it is still under investigation. Well, the grass won't be greener on this side of the fence for a lot of San Gabriel Valley cities. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is asking Pasadena, Altadena, La Crescenta, and La Cañada Flint Ridge residents to conserve water, including outdoor watering, until February 28th. The temporary cut in services, estimated to be up to 40%, is being enforced because the agency is repairing the aging upper feeder pipeline, the main source of transporting water to those areas. General Manager Nina Hazamadarian said in a statement that conservation by residents and businesses is essential in helping complete the repair work without additional water service impacts. Customers who have questions about how the service cuts will affect them can visit the website at mwdh2oh.com for more information. Well, hundreds of people visited the Westfield Santa Anita Mall in Arcadia on Saturday to celebrate the ending festivities of the Lunar New Year, an important date in the Chinese calendar. The event featured dancers, Chinese calligraphy, photos, raffles, and crafts for the kids. This is the year of the snake, which according to Chinese mythology means it is potentially a year of uprising, but also of acumen. Well, Southern California weather is the envy of the nation, and this past week proved it with great temps and gorgeous skies. CCN's meteorologist Curtis Peak is off today, but we'll tell you if this week we'll have the nation California dreaming again.
Right now, 65 degrees. Winds southwest 7 miles per hour. Humidity 21%. Barometric pressure 30.07. Sunrise this morning 6:26. Our sunset 5:45. Our highs for today. 65 across the board. Glendale, Pasadena, and Alhambra. Our cool spot will be at Monterey Park at 59. Our highest spot 70, Arcadia, Monrovia, and West Covina. Our lows for today. 40s across the board. Our highest temperature coming in at 46, Pasadena. Our lowest temperature 40, Arcadia. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Offshore flow and high pressure will keep the temperatures on a warming trend this week. Tuesday, 73, Wednesday, 73, Thursday, 77. The above normal temperatures this week will peak on Friday and Saturday. Friday at 80 and Saturday at 81. The high pressure ridge will leave the region late Saturday and bring cool temperatures. Sunday, 78, and Monday, 73. There's going to be a warm week. Thank you.
Well, 81 degrees in February, you can't beat that. You can find out more at crowncitynews.com. Well, people all over Southern California have heard his voice for years on the radio, and now the man behind the mic joins us live in studio. Larry Mantle is here to tell us about his show Air Talk and how he got started in these same studios. Next on CCN Crown City News, your neighborhood. We'll be right back.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. Now, we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until there's no secret that makes you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this dangerous, but they are returning.
Probably don't anyway, right?
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Tonight we have a very special guest in studio. Larry Mantle started out at this very community access network many years ago as the first host of City Beat in the early 80s. Now he's just down the street at the offices of 89.3 KPCC, which is the largest Southern California NPR affiliate. Larry has hosted his show Air Talk since 1985, making his run as the radio talk show host the longest in Southern California. Thanks for being here, Larry.
Sunita, it's great to be with you. It's a lot of fun to be back in these very same studios and talking to Pasadena viewers in the West San Gabriel Valley.
Look familiar?
It looks much nicer than when I was hosting here, so it's great to see what's happened with the studios here.
Well, we'll definitely do a before and after too. Another, 10 years we'll do another interview and see how things have changed.
Yeah, just like with KPCC, as we've had new studios along the way.
Well, absolutely, and that's why it's such an honor for you to be here for me. Sorry, because I was an intern at KPCC for your show.
A very good one, Sunita.
Thank
by
you.
the
I
way.
appreciate
so
that.
You learned a lot.
Well, and I never thought I would be on this side of the camera. That wasn't something I wanted to do, and never thought I'd be interviewing you. But since you started, how has the news industry changed? Are the fundamentals the same, or is it completely changed?
I think the fundamentals of storytelling are the same, but the methodology of it and all the different outlets that exist are so much more varied than what we used to have. For example, with the show that I do every day, Twitter is a part of it, how we promote the program, how we communicate with listeners. I take listener comments not just live on the telephone, but postings on our webpage. Each segment has its own built-out webpage. Listeners comment on it. That's dramatically different because it gives it an immediacy. It changes the whole nature of the conversation. And I also think the fact that we live in this 24-hour or even less news cycle means that topics we might have gotten to 2 or 3 days later, we're on it that day, much more responsive to what's happening in the news. So I think the business has changed quite a bit, but the essence of telling a story in a compelling way and connecting with listeners or viewers, those elements remain the same.
Well, in fact, it was groundbreaking for Air Talk to do a listener call-in show, and that was your way of engaging them and being interactive with them. And now it's at a much bigger level.
It is. When I started, particularly in public radio, the idea was that why would you want to talk to listeners? You can talk to experts. You can have professors on and scientists. Why would you want to just talk with regular people? Well, in public radio, the regular people have all kinds of expertise and life experiences that they can bring to share with it. And that was my belief back in 1985 when I started the program, was that they would be a huge part of contributing to it. And that's absolutely been the case. And in those 20-some years, it's expanded from there a great deal.
So as the host of City Beat, how do you think that has influenced your career in any way? And how has being a part of the Pasadena community influenced your show?
Oh, tremendously. Well, for one thing, I love Pasadena. I'm a resident of the city. I've lived here for many years. Pasadena, in its diversity, in its citizen involvement, is just a great place to be a part of the community. But the second part, in hosting City Beat, just as you're doing, you're connecting with viewers who have a real interest in what's happening right in their community. It's immediate, it's local, and that's what really matters most to us. We may get interested in what's President Obama's new initiative, what's the debate taking place in Congress. But what really affects our lives the most are what we just saw about violence. And is violence a public health issue? Is it an epidemic? Can it be communicated like an illness? That hits people where they live. And so what I learned in hosting City Beat is the power of local media to affect people's lives and to get them thinking about whether it's violence, whether it's city government, whether it's the quality of life, parks issues, education, all those things really make a difference locally.
Well, in fact, your first guest for Air Talk was Mayor Bill Bogart, and you both had great runs these past years. But how did Mayor Bogart, as your first guest, reflect the scope of your show?
Well, because I think early on we saw ourselves, we were a smaller station, our signal covered a smaller area. And so in having the mayor on first, it sort of planted our flag that, Pasadena was sort of the focal point, and then we went out from there. Well, now we're this, regional entity. We have 3 transmitters from the Coachella Valley to the ocean. We're heard online around the world. I have listeners calling in from Brazil, from Europe. It's changed dramatically. But in having the mayor on it first, it sort of said, we care about local issues. That's really what we're starting from. And I have to say today, for me, my bread and butter is Southern California-based issues. What's happening in Pasadena that relates to what's happening in Rancho Cucamonga, what's happening in Irvine that is relevant to Ventura. So it's a little bit of a broader regional area, but you're looking for commonalities, same kinds of issues Southern Californians are dealing with regardless of where they live.
Well, now let's just talk about some of the growth that KPCC has had. You've had this state-of-the-art facility, but you've also had a lot of changes recently with the programming. You have Madeline Brand, beloved host. She moved on. Pat Morrison also, her show, there's no show anymore, but she still does special reports with you. You recently had your program director, Craig Curtis, is moving on. But what's your secret? People have come and gone, but you are still here. What's the secret to your longevity, and how can we bottle it?
Well, it's funny because we're just talking as a staff. We just met before I came over to your studios, and we were talking about, wow, we're growing so much, and changes are occurring, and how it is so much the nature of media. As organizations change and evolve, and people do come and people go. And you mentioned some very talented individuals. I think that for me, I really feel like the listener component of having listeners as a part of the conversation, and I've really appreciated the changes that KPCC has gone through. When we started out, it was very, very difficult. I felt like I was a one-man band, and in many ways I was. Over time, now I have a staff. Now I work with this whole team. We have reporters and the Take Two program that leads into me, and the NPR network programming. So all of that, I really feel comfortable with all the changes that have gone on and the ways that I could sort of serve that. But the reasons people come and go are many and varied, and the personnel matters I'm not as familiar with. All I can say is for myself is I love being there. I'm delighted with the changes that are going on, and I think that we get stronger all the time.
Well, and I think being a listener, I've definitely noticed that. There's been times when you've had really big fundraising halls, and everyone's excited, and in other places you might not see the change, but every single time there's something new happening at KPCC, and that's. As a listener, it feels like, okay, they're doing something.
Well, and that's what we hope, because that's what fuels the fundraising. I mean, just to be blunt about it, if listeners aren't excited about what they hear, not just value it, but have a level of excitement and emotional connection, they're really not going to give to support it. Because the reasons that we financially support the things we care about aren't just sort of that it's good for you, but that we feel like we're a part of it, we're connected to it. And I think you've really nailed it, that listeners feel a connection to KPCC. That connection has grown. We're coming off our highest listenership for the month of January that we've had. Well, it's the second highest historically. So the audience keeps building, and I think financially that's going to provide what we need to keep growing.
It's not like the airline industry where they keep taking more and more and you get less services and everything.
Yeah, we keep trying to up the services we provide so that people feel like, yeah, my money is being invested in something that's growing, and I feel like all the time they're going more in depth, they're serving me more than they ever have.
Well, it certainly looks like you're not going anywhere, but was there ever a job offer or anything that you really thought about, or thought, my life would have taken a whole different course?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe, it would have been, I don't know if television is something that interested you or something on the national scope. Is that something that ever lured you in any way, or?
They're things that I have thought about, I have to admit, and there was never anything that had for me the emotional connection that doing the daily interview call-in program had. And even if that was a national opportunity, I'd really have to think twice of it. I really would, because there's something about being able to talk about these Los Angeles issues that's very meaningful to me. I'm a fourth-generation Southern Californian. I love the greater Los Angeles area, and I'd miss talking about that.
Well, we talked a little bit about social media and also just the news punditry that's really pushing people to have to give your opinion on everything and, everything from the Oscars to politics, which, those two are starting to look a little similar, aren't they, these days? But, how is it for you to keep your, do you still have to keep your personal opinions to yourself?
Yeah, pardon me, I just dry throat. I've been talking all day. The personal opinions are something that is not part of my stock and trade. It's really what the difference is for KPCC is that slogan that we have, no rant and no slant. And it's absolutely vital that we really are honest brokers for the listeners. We don't stack the deck. That's really what I want to do. I have no desire to change anybody's point of view. It's simply to give people the info they need to make those decisions.
Okay. Well, but if you're at a dinner party or something, can you still give your opinion? Or,
I have to be very cautious. It's funny you say that because the last thing I want is listeners who I even meet in casual conversation, whatever, say, oh, yeah, that's how he feels about that. So people will try and get my personal point of view about things. They'll sort of goad me in some case. Well, don't you think it's outrageous that so-and-so did such and such? And I say, well, on the one hand, but then on the other. Here's the argument on the other side to that. Because I really, and that's honest, I want people to really consider multiple sides of an issue. Very, very little in life, when it comes to these issues of public debate, in my view, is black and white. All kinds of shades of gray. So that's really what I hope that, whether it's personal conversation I'm having or whether it's on the radio in front of, thousands of people, is the conversation that I'm having.
That must be fun for your wife, huh? She can never get your opinion
Well,
down.
she gets my opinion, but she's one of the few.
Oh, good. Well, with so much of news looking a little bit more like infotainment these days, how challenging is it to compete with those, the soundbite-driven, crossfire-type shows where you have to pick a side and stick to it? Would you be able to do your show anywhere else?
No, I think it would be really difficult. Perhaps PBS, perhaps other public radio stations, but I don't really see a place to do a program like this because verbal wrestling has sort of taken over. It's the predictable positions, everybody plays their roles, and they're cast according to those roles. The kind of thing that I do is trying to push people off of their talking points to actually be forced to confront the opinion that they have coming into it. That's what I love doing, and it gives us a niche to do, but it's not very common in media today.
Well, what about those people that, they are going to spin every topic and you're just never going to get the truth out of them?
That's really hard, and you know that as an interviewer. You get someone, and politicians are notorious for this, so you're trying to pin them down. And say, but what would you do if you're elected? You have X number of dollars. You have all these things couldn't possibly be funded. How would you do it? All you can do is keep pressing the point and try and get them to make some sort of a commitment to what they'd really do. Otherwise, they're just tap dancing, and they're very good at it.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that you continue to press people to get at the truth, and we're looking forward to the 30th anniversary of This Is Their Talk, and hopefully another book.
I can't believe it's been that long, Sunita. It feels like I'm just getting started in some ways, so thank you very much.
Well,
I appreciate
we'll have
the
you
kind
back
words.
again. Thank
Thanks
you for being here. Well, that's it for this newscast. Please reach out to us with news tips and community news at crowncitynews.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter to keep updated on the latest. For this newscast, thanks to Larry Mantle for joining us in studio. Thanks to all of our sponsors, including Southern California Edison, Wink Marketing, Dr. Fareed Zarif, and the Pasadena Enterprise Center office building with available space. Thanks also to the CCN crew. They make this show possible. And finally, we thank you for watching CCN Crown City News. Join us each week as we cover the news in Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. For all of us here at CCN, I'm Sunita Joshua Madison. Have a great week.
great to join you.
Thank you. Well, would it be okay if we took some pictures with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do you want to do it here or out there, or what's your preference?
Stevie, can we do some here and then